Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Road to Avatar 2. I'm Brian.
I'm Michael.
And we are joined together to discuss the inevitable follow-up to the number one film of all time, James Cameron's Avatar. Now, there are rumors afoot that Avatar has lost its number one worldwide status.
False.
According to... Yeah, false. According to San Diego Comic-Con, this is just hot off the presses, Kevin Feige, in his little MCU Phase 4 panel, whatever that is, I guess they're still making movies. Thought Endgame was the end, right? Guess not. So he was saying about how apparently, even though like the numbers haven't been released yet for this current weekend, we're recording this right now. It is Saturday, July 20th, 2019. Apparently, Endgame has in fact surpassed Avatar's box office, but when you go ahead and you look at the actual numbers, that's just simply not the case yet.
Yeah, go to boxofficemojo.com. It's still number 2. Colossal flop.
It's still number 2, and I know he said like it's not official yet, and he even conceded that if it does beat it, that James Cameron will just take the record back. But
which we are going to we will talk about in depth throughout these next few years of talking about the movie that will inevitably become the highest grossing film of all time.
Right, just the next few years because it'll be coming very soon.
Yeah, 2021.
So. Exactly. So Titanic, the thing is, because of James Cameron, like he has had the number one grossing film at the box office since Titanic. So he's not going to lose that title ever. So
pretty much since I was born.
Exactly. So I think it's pretty bold of Kevin Feige to say that he will ever even temporarily lose that holy grail. But, you know... I mean, I guess he said it. He said it in Hall H at Comic-Con, so he can't really take it back. And it's going to be really embarrassing when Endgame doesn't pass Avatar's number. And I feel like that's going to cause a lot more resentment among the Marvel fans, because I feel like they already have been showing... Have you noticed this at all, Michael? Have you noticed at all, like, the hatred that the MCU stands have been spewing at our beloved Avatar?
Even with movies like Toy Story 4 or Aladdin even, which should be also like on their team, right? Because they're all owned by Disney.
Which, come to think of it, so is Avatar now. Avatar is also under the Disney banner. So we should all be one big family.
So why would Disney want Endgame to beat Avatar if Avatar is also owned by Disney?
Exactly.
There's not a single reason why. It does not make any sense. It does not add up. I'm crunching the numbers.
All of the MCU stands should be embracing Avatar, but the fact that they're not means that we have every right to go against the MCU, I think, at this time. Not against it. I love the MCU. I think it's great, but it's not Avatar, and it never will be Avatar. Avatar just came up in here. It wasn't based on anything. There wasn't some old little comic book drawings from decades and decades ago that someone just ripped off and put onto the big screen. No. Avatar was just a crazy idea that James Cameron came up with in his old noggin. And he just made the movie. Nothing. It wasn't a sequel. It wasn't an adaptation. It wasn't a remake. It wasn't a reboot. It was just his new original idea. And it was something that had never been done before. And you can't compare Avatar to anything. Nothing about even like the primal nature of his story has any relation to, people say it's like Dances with Wolves, or Pocahontas, or Fern Gully, but they're wrong, because none of those had blue people.
I have nothing to add. You're just completely right.
Well, I mean, thank you. I feel like someone had to say it, you know.
Thank you for being the brave soul who is saying something so controversial, yet so brave.
I went back and I watched all those movies, just in case. They're not blue. They're not blue. And I think that says it all right there. And they also weren't in 3D. So, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, honestly.
It is a little embarrassing. James Cameron basically went up in here and changed the game. Like, 3D existed before, you know, but it was always like a cheap B-movie gimmick, right? and then it was starting to kind of come
Yeah,
back
and it's
around.
like all red, like and blue, and it like blurs together. We don't have any red here. It's just 100% blue.
And Disney, you were starting to see it in theme parks and stuff, but it's because of James Cameron that every movie theater was having to start putting in those 3D projectors,
Yeah. People say that Avatar had no lasting impact. Like, oh, you can't even name 2 Avatar characters. Like, go to any theater. Mm-hmm. Does it have a 3D screen? Yes. There's your impact. There's your cultural impact.
And not only does it have one 3D screen, there are usually quite more than just one 3D screen.
Yeah, there's typically way more. My theater now has a 4D screen. We couldn't have gotten to 4D without 3D.
Exactly. If you can't, they would have had to skip a number, and that's mathematically impossible. So people just sound stupid when they discount the impact of James Cameron and his film. So. Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of 4D, not to jump the gun too much here, but I feel like, no promises here, but it seems as though Avatar 2 may in fact be making use of 4D technology, or perhaps glasses-free 3D, some sort of new... I mean, I can't even predict it, that's the thing, it's so cutting edge. Who am I to say what it's going to be? It's going to be something I've never seen before, so how am I supposed to describe it to you?
Well, I've actually heard that it's something similar to watching your parents fight underneath your bed.
Right, which actually
I've never
is something.
experienced in a movie theater.
Well,
I've never brought a bed into a movie theater, so I think this is like pretty revolutionary.
Right. I mean, it's something that I've experienced a lot in my personal life, but I've never seen it when actually going to the movies.
But now they can be blue.
I've had my parents have argued while I'm in the theater, but you're right. There's never been the bed. There's that factor is not present. And they're also going to be blue. You're right. So, yeah. But I mean, again, I can't describe something that I've never actually seen happening. It would be like asking me to describe what life on Mars is like. I can't tell you. I've never seen it.
But I can tell you what life on Pandora is like, and that life is the highest grossing film of all time.
Exactly, Michael. I couldn't have said it better myself. Of course, I have never actually been to Pandora. The Pandora featured in the films, nor the Walt Disney World iteration of it. But
I have not gone to Pandora featured in the films. However, I will be going to Pandora in January of 2020.
The Walt Disney World Animal Kingdom.
The Walt
Pandora?
the Disney World Pandora World of Avatar. Yes. Based off of the documentary that James Cameron.
That of course will have to be a very special episode when that day does finally come.
Oh, I'm very excited.
I wonder, is everything that... Because the thing about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is that pretty much anything that you do in the world instantly becomes canon. So while you're in the Pandora at Animal Kingdom, are you going to just become part of Avatar canon the second that you step into that world?
I hope so. I'm going to become a Dreamwalker and become a Na'vi. Not even an Avatar. I'll just become the Na'vi.
Oh, well,
I'll be disconnected from my human body.
Well, that is actually a perfect transition to the fact that, in spite of the fact that this is...
Thank you.
Yes, in spite of the fact that this is the road to Avatar 2, the film may, in fact, not be called Avatar 2. And I don't mean like, it'll be called Avatar subtitle, Resurrection or something. No, I mean, Avatar may not even be in the title. You want to explain why, Michael?
Oh, yeah. According to James Cameron, Avatar might not be in the title because of the fact that Jake Sully is not, in fact, in an Avatar body anymore by the end of the highest-grossing film of all time, James Cameron's Avatar 2009. But because he's just simply a Na'vi, and he's been, severed from his human body, and now his life is not an Avatar, is the real Na'vi experience.
Correct. Arguably, the second that he opens his eyes at the very end of Avatar, I think Avatar shouldn't even be called Avatar at that point, which is strange because doesn't the title card smash cut right after and show Avatar? Because I mean, at that point, he's simply not an Avatar anymore. So I don't know if that was a mistake in terms of the editing. But
I think it's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. How so? Explain how it's would you say it's a metaphor or is it a simile? What do you think?
A metaphor, absolutely.
Okay.
The circle of life with Awa, how everything dies and goes back to Awa. Avatar is shown at the beginning of the movie. If it shows at the end of the movie as well, It's just Circle of Life, back to Awa. And then the first movie is like honestly kind of like a prologue for like his life as a Navi. You can't just start with him being a Navi, because then you'd wonder like, why did he get to be chosen to be this random person? You have to have the history and backstory to lead up into his Navi living experience.
I was just gonna say, arguably, like the avatar that the movie is titled for, it's arguably not Jake Sully himself. It's arguably us in the theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we are the ones who are getting this outsider's view of Pandora in a sense with the 3D technology that James Cameron basically reinvented. We ourselves have become the avatars.
Yeah, like it's perfect because like in the first movie, you have to have the 3D glasses themselves to view this experience. So there's like a barrier there.
But once now we are like actual Na'vi, then it makes perfect sense for that barrier to be removed.
Yeah, so now with Avatar 2, we don't have to wear glasses. It's just glasses-free 3D because we are not avatars anymore. We are
So do you
Na'vi.
Oh my god. So do you think he could have just jumped straight to the glasses-free technology, but he didn't do it because of the symbolism?
I think so. I think he could have. I think he very well could have.
Wow.
It might have gotten delayed a few dozen times, but he could have.
Wow. Well, I think we really just kind of uncovered some really, really interesting stuff just there.
Yes.
That's really groundbreaking. I mean, I feel like that explains a lot.
It's very meta, and honestly, it's kind of why you have to see the Avatar movies in the theater, because you don't get this. You don't get this extra level of storytelling without that.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, because I feel the whole the title card bookending, as it were. It also it brings to mind another film in the Disney library, which is The Lion King, which does a similar thing, because you were talking about Circle of Life, so it kind of got me thinking about Lion King, which as of this weekend, currently the remake of The Lion King or reimagining, whatever you wish to call it, is currently in the theater, and some also are comparing it in terms of its visual splendor and innovation. They're comparing it to Avatar in a sense. How do you feel about this?
Kind of. It's kind of insulting. It's slap in the face, and it feels like my parents are just fighting there right in front of me, right? You know,
right.
But not even with the wonder and splendor of being able to see that through Pandora and all of like Awa's beauty. It just it's just as you said earlier, like part of the cultural impact of Avatar is that it wasn't based off of anything. So the fact that The Lion King is doing all the same thing except just kind of ripping off its own source material is just it's insulting. It's insulting to the general public.
And it's really hard to buy into the whole Hakuna Matata philosophy when this movie does give me worry about the state of Hollywood currently, in terms of all of these remakes, the lack of original ideas, like Avatar. Of course, James Cameron came through for us this year by producing Alita Battle Angel, but you know, that's just
Alita Challenge.
Just one Alita Challenge. But that's just one drop in the bucket, you know, a drop in a bucket of enormous water that James Cameron will finally spill out and let us go underneath when we get to see Avatar 2.
Yeah, now with motion capture, underwater itself.
Right. And of course, then again, Aquaman came in trying to be like, here's our underwater technology innovation.
And did you see how much money that movie made?
Yeah. And that's just the knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think that Avatar 2 is going to flop because it was just kind of a one-time thing. No. You haven't seen anything yet.
It is baffling because I think as of right now, people are saying about how we talk about the MCU is so successful, or The Lion King, this reboot is going to open to huge numbers, and Aquaman did so well. The only reason all of these movies are doing so well is because they don't have any competition. There hasn't been an Avatar movie since 2009. If Avatar had released another film at this point, it would be dominating the marketplace. But that just simply isn't the case because James Cameron takes his time. He doesn't release 3 Avatar movies a year. I mean, not to go discount anything anyone else is doing specifically, but you know, some other studios and some other properties seem to be under the whole 3-movie a year type thing, or maybe even putting some stuff out on a streaming service. But I don't want to get too overt. I don't want to get too overt about what I'm talking about.
Yeah. One thing that I find interesting is honestly the hypocriticalness of these audiences. Like, Avatar 1
I
and
see it
2
as hypocrisy, but hypocriticalness is also.
Oh, no. It's just part of the Na'vi tongue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You scown. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm doing a podcast with you.
I do feel like a scown right now, but I'm sorry. I see you. Continue.
Yeah. Excuse me. Part of the hypocrisy, as my co-host has so very kindly corrected me on.
You're welcome.
Part of the hypocrisy of modern audiences is they always complain about Avatar not leaving an impact and taking forever and therefore letting everybody forget. But Star Wars had a very similar decade-long gap.
You're absolutely right.
And then when it came back, everybody was super excited because of how long it's been away, which I find very intriguing.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was like introducing Star Wars to the new generation, as it were. But that also, it had to be something of a soft reboot. It had to be retelling the story of the original film. Whereas, from what we know about this next Avatar film, it will be moving the story forward. Jake will still be very much at the forefront of the story, but we will be getting to meet the next generation. We will be getting to meet his and Neytiri's children. But it feels more like a direct follow-up. It's not just trying to do the same thing again. It's underwater this time, so it'll be even bluer.
It'll be fantastic.
Right. So, I feel like a good way to close this out would be just to talk about, again, like, if by chance, somehow, I know this is like a 1 in a million shot.
1 in a 14 million shot, some might say.
Right. If Endgame does, by like maybe a couple of pennies, surpass the gross.
Yeah, a couple of pennies
Avatar.
that Kevin Feige threw himself.
Exactly. It's cheating. It's cheating, basically. Because let's not forget, they had to re-release Endgame, which, yes, Avatar was re-released as well, but it had extended scenes that were completely finished in the jaw-dropping, breathtaking technology, and inserted into the film with great care. Endgame was just like, bloop, here's some bonus features that are going to be on the Blu-ray after the credits. Bloop, 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 bloop. And
you could actually see the tape
finish
on the film if you look closely enough.
Yeah. They didn't even bother to finish the Hulk visual effects or any of that, but it was a shameless push to get it that far. So that's already cheating in my eyes, but okay, but let's say that, in spite of the age-old adage that cheaters never prosper, that Kevin Feige and all of I don't want to call them cheaters, but yeah, cheaters, liars, scoundrels, that they do in fact, take the number 1 spot. What's the game plan there? Does James Cameron just immediately re-release Avatar, or like does he release a trailer for Avatar 2? Like what happens?
Disney's going to soft drop like a surprise Avatar release for like 1 weekend only. So then it will not actually reclaim the throne, but as I've stated, it's only because it was back in theaters for 1 weekend, and then they will like give themselves a false pat on the back for saying, "Oh, look, Avatar tried, failed. Oh no, Endgame's in."
Oh wow. Well, that would be truly disrespectful. I feel like that's the worst case scenario if that happens. Yeah. Did you have a nightmare about that? That sounded so vivid. Like it's scary. Was that from one of Doctor Strange's alternate futures?
Yes. What if Avatar was re-released?
Oh God. That would really be upsetting. Well, arguably, the smart move that Disney could do is just continue this warring of the fandoms against each other. Re-release Avatar, have it reclaim the number 1 spot, then Marvel re-releases Endgame, and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
And everyone just keeps, like, spending money. And the thing about that is, it would absolutely work, because I'm not letting Endgame stay at number 1.
I say the exact same thing, because you know that there's going to be Endgame fans who are, like, just letting that movie get to them to the point where they would go and see it many times just so it can get this arbitrary number.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But for us, it's not an arbitrary.
Which is why I think that we should not allow it to get to that number, and then anytime Avatar is re-released, we have to go and see this movie in theaters to make sure that it stays at the top.
Right. Exactly. So it doesn't just become a wild goose chase. It doesn't just become a game of tag. Tag you're it, back and forth.
Yeah. We have to get this movie to $3 billion, and then they'll stop.
Right. Tag is a completely separate movie, and it's not owned by Disney, so that should not be part of the conversation.
Yes, it is not part of the MCU or the Avatar universe.
Correct. So
yet.
Yeah. No. So I think that that pretty much covers what we wanted to talk about for now about Avatar 2. Is there anything else that you wanted to speak about today? About it doesn't have to be about Avatar 2. It could be just something about the world of Pandora. Is there anything, Michael?
I'm just very excited to get to experience Pandora myself in January when I'm going to Disney World, Pandora, World of Avatar, and Animal Kingdom.
That simply goes without saying. Without saying, in the Na'vi language or in our language or any other language that one could think of.
I think it transcends language, actually, the excitement that I'm feeling.
I would agree. I would tend to agree. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this first episode of The Road to Avatar 2. Avatar remains the #1 film of all time worldwide, and it will continue to be so, and I'm sure it will be by the time we get to our next episode. So
absolutely,
thank you all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Without a doubt in my mind, indubitably. Correct. That is what I just said, indubitably. So, thank you all for listening to the podcast, and please continue to join us as we walk further and further down the road to the very clear destination that will not move, that is Avatar 2.
December 2021.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.